Marisol Reyes learned early that the quickest way to disappear in a rich man's house was to master the sound of quiet. She perfected it. Soft-soled shoes, pockets that didn't jingle, a cart that rolled without complaint. But quiet wasn't the same as invisible, and on the morning everything began, quiet is what let her notice the envelope. She was pressing a midnight blue tuxedo in the Whitmore Estates laundry when a crisp, cream-colored envelope slid out of the inner breast pocket and skated across the ironing board. No name on the front, just 3 words in tidy handwriting on the back flap. For Graham. Urgent. Graham Whitmore ran half the city's skyline and most of its headlines. By tonight, he and his partner, Grant Alton, would host a gala to announce a transformative plan for their conglomerate. Marisol frowned. Guests sent embossed invitations. Lawyers sent documents by courier. This looked like something else. Personal, deliberate, slipped into a pocket where only someone careful would find it. Everything all right? Mrs. Davenport asked from the doorway, fingers laced around a mug of tea. The house manager knew the temperature of every room and the mood of every guest. Just a loose thread, Marisol said, palming the envelope. Not to keep it, but to protect it, then sliding it into a plastic sleeve the way she'd been taught to handle delicate trim. I'll return the jacket upstairs. Upstairs, the master dressing room was a museum of dark wood and better decisions. Marisol laid the tux on a valet stand, set the envelope beside it, and stepped back. She shouldn't have read it. She didn't, but she couldn't unsee the words for Graham. Urgent. And the way they pressed on the air like a held breath. Marisol, a voice said. It was Lucas Whitmore, Graham's son, late 20s, clean cut, a polite smile he wore like a tie. My father's expecting that tux. Did you find anything else in the pocket? Marisol kept her hands folded. An envelope. I left it on the table. Lucas's smile flickered. He crossed to the valet, picked up the envelope, and slid it into his jacket. Thanks. Best to bring anything like that to me directly in the future, he said lightly. Fewer misunderstandings. Yes, sir, Marisol said, and watched him leave. She had the sudden, unsettling sense that the envelope had been safer with the laundry. The house, usually a metronome, ticked faster all day. Florists in black aprons moved like bees. A lighting crew adjusted trusses over the terrace. In the kitchen, Chef Elodie conducted ovens like an orchestra. By sunset, the Whitmore estate had transformed into a mirror, reflecting the city's most powerful people back at themselves. Marisol worked the service corridor behind the ballroom, refilling water, catching fallen napkins mid-air, replacing a blown tea light without being seen. When she passed the study, she heard voices. One crisp and controlled, the other high with edge. I told you to destroy it, Grant Alton hissed. Do you understand the word destroy, Lucas? The vote is tomorrow. If your father sees that letter, we lose the merger. We lose everything. Lucas's voice came back tight. It's handled. I've got it. And the maid, Grant said. Just a housekeeper, Lucas said. She won't be a problem. Marisol kept walking. Her heart didn't. The letter, not for Lucas, for Graham. She didn't know what was inside, but she knew what it wasn't. None of her business. Except sometimes the line between none of your business and this is your life is a single step in the wrong hallway. At 9, Mrs. Davenport pressed a headset into her palm. We're short a runner on the East Terrace. Can you cover? Yes, ma'am, Marisol said. As she turned, a man in a narrow suit separated from a cluster near the bar and fell in his step beside her. You Marisol? He asked. He had careful hair and a smile that looked borrowed. I'm Mr. Alton's aide. He asked me to find you. Marisol drew herself a half-inch taller. How can I help? He handed her a small, matte black envelope. Deliver this to Mr. Whitmore's study. Put on the desk. Don't let anyone else see you do it. His gaze rested on her name tag. And Marisol, there's a little something for you inside, too. In case anything fell out of pocket today. We're all friends here. Her fingers prickled. I'll deliver it to the study, she said. She didn't add anything. The study was empty. Bookcases, a globe, a desk that held the weight of too many decisions. Marisol set the black envelope down, and, because she was not a fool, she did not open it. She noticed, though, the faint chemical tang of fresh glue along the flap, and the way something inside slid heavier than paper. She also noticed the wastebasket lined with clean plastic, as if it had been recently changed. She took a breath, stepped back into the corridor, and nearly collided with Lucas. "You," he said, pulling her by the elbow into the shadows. He wasn't cruel. He was scared. "Did you tell anyone about the envelope?" "No, sir," Marisol said. "Good. Here's what happens now." He pulled a slim document from his jacket. "You sign this, just a standard confidentiality agreement, and you forget you ever saw anything. In return, Mr. Alton will make sure your situation improves." He tucked a second envelope into her apron. It smelled like money. "You help us, we help you." Marisol's cheeks went hot. "You think I would sell what isn't mine to sell?" "It's not selling," Lucas said, surprised and then annoyed. "It's knowing your place. You clean things. Let's clean this." Marisol stepped back. "No." Lucas blinked. "No. No," she repeated quietly. "I don't sign what I haven't read. I don't keep what isn't mine. And I don't throw away what was meant for someone else." He stared like she'd slipped from script. "You'll regret this," he said, and strode away. A quick pause. If you're into this story so far, please tap like and subscribe so you never miss the next one. Now back to it. The gala unfolded like a magic trick. Lights, applause, a sizzle reel on an LED wall. Graham took the stage to speak about innovation. Grant stood at his shoulder, teeth so white they reflected the screen. Marisol, behind the banquette, watched the way Graham's mouth tightened between lines, the way he scanned the room as if searching for something he'd lost. A hand brushed her arm. Mrs. Davenport's voice was low. "You look like a kettle about to whistle. Are you all right?" "Ma'am," Marisol whispered, "if you had a letter for the person who owns this house and someone else took it, what would you do?" Mrs. Davenport's eyes sharpened. She had seen too many seasons to waste time pretending. "I would find the shortest truth between the letter and the man's hand. And I would walk it." "Ow?" Marisol asked. "I can't get near the stage." "You don't need the stage," Mrs. Davenport said. "You need his wife." Celeste Whitmore moved through galas with the ease of someone who could distinguish 11 kinds of champagne by sound alone. She also saw people who didn't get names on place cards. 10 minutes later, Marisol stood beside her at a side door, breath small and steady. "Mrs. Whitmore," Marisol said, "I found a letter this morning addressed to your husband. It was taken from me. I don't know what it says. But Mr. Alton's aide tried to pay me to sign something I didn't understand. I think someone is trying to keep your husband from seeing something he needs." Celeste didn't blink. She simply said, "Where should that letter be now?" "In Lucas's inner jacket pocket," Marisol said. "Thank you," Celeste said, and the thanks sounded like a promise. "Stay close." 3 minutes later, Celeste stepped up behind her son, kissed his cheek, and straightened his lapel like a mother. Where her fingers brushed the inner pocket, she lifted the envelope with the grace of a magician and slid it into her clutch. Then she crossed behind the stage-left curtain and handed it to Mrs. Davenport, who passed it to Marisol, who, heartbeat drumming, carried it to the one person who had dreamed of walking this house without permission since she was 12. Sophia Whitmore, Graham's estranged sister and head of the family foundation, standing near the staff entrance because she liked to see who made the magic. "For Graham. Urgent," Marisol said, offering the envelope. "He needs this now." Sophia slit the flap with a nail. She read, "Once," and her face changed, not crumpling, not enraged, but tightening the way a violin string tightens to pitch. "Where did you find this?" she asked. "In his tux pocket," Marisol said. "Lucas took it. Mr. Alton tried to buy my silence." Sophia nodded once. "You did right. What does it say?" Marisol asked, breaking her own rule, because rules are for days when the truth isn't on fire. "It's a letter from a senior engineer," Sophia said. She says Grant ordered the delay of a safety fix at the rail yard to cinch the merger. Worse numbers before the vote, better upside after. She attached a patch note and a time-stamped email chain. If this goes wrong, a train derails on paper, so the stock goes the way he wants. If it goes wrong in life, her jaw set. Graham will not let this stand. How does he see it without Grant stopping him? Marisol asked. Sophia smiled in a way that looked like the Whitmore portrait in the hall, opening her eyes. We go through the front door. They did. Celeste walked on stage when the sizzle reel faded and handed Graham the letter like she was handing him oxygen. Graham read while the crowd murmured. He looked up at Grant. Grant smiled. He looked over at Celeste. She looked back with a gaze that said, "We built this life. Don't burn it for someone else's match." He looked toward the wings, and there was Sophia, arms crossed, not saving him, but ready to stand where he decided to stand. Graham turned to the microphone. "I just received information," he said, voice steady. "Our company will not vote on the merger tomorrow. We will convene an independent review of our rail division's safety patches immediately. Any executive who interfered is suspended pending investigation." Grant's smile snapped. "Graham, let's not." "Grant Alton is suspended," Graham said. "Effective now." He folded the letter and slid it into his inner pocket, the place where it had been meant to be all along. "We do not make a profit off other people's peril." The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that's louder than applause. It lasted one heartbeat, 2, 3, and then the noise surged back, not neat, not polite, but relieved like a machine unclogging. Staff in white gloves stepped back from the bar, as if the air between bottles had just become simpler to breathe. Grant stepped forward, low voice hissing through a smile. "You're tanking the company live." "I'm saving a life," Graham said. "Security will escort you to your car. You'll hear from counsel." Grant's aide edged toward the side door. Mrs. Davenport appeared where no one had seen her arrive. The aide stopped moving. Later, when the guests had been steered to dessert and the band played a song that sounded like exhaling, Celeste found Marisol in the service corridor. "Walk with me," she said. They took the long way, through the kitchen where Chef Elodie was plating lemon tarts like tiny moons, past the staff lockers that smelled like coffee and starch, out to the dark, quiet driveway where the security lights made halos on the gravel. "My husband told me what you did," Celeste said. "Sophia told me what you risked. You could have kept your head down. You didn't." Marisol stared at her hands. "I almost did," she said, "but I didn't come to this country to learn how to be small." Celeste's smile touched one corner of her mouth. "What do you want?" she asked. "Not tonight. Not a tip. A life. What does the next right thing look like for you?" Marisol didn't answer right away. The question felt like someone had opened a window in her chest. "I want a path I can explain to my mother without lying," she said. "She cleans rooms at the Harbor Hotel. She thinks I work for good people. Tonight, I want to be able to call her and say I do." "Then you do," Celeste said. "And you will." The investigation moved quickly because the people who wanted to hide now had to file things. Grant resigned before the board could fire him. The engineer who wrote the letter, Kim Seojin, was promoted to lead the safety team. The rail fix went live in 48 hours. The merger was shelved. The stock dipped, then steadied higher on something rarer than excitement. Trust. 2 weeks later, in a meeting room that smelled like ink and carpet cleaner, Graham addressed the staff that made his house run. He did not bring a PR team. He brought Celeste and Sophia and a cardboard box of pastries from a bakery that did not know how to spell Whitmore because it never needed to. "I want to thank you," he said, looking at faces most guests forget. "One of you did something brave with no guarantee that anyone would ever say your name out loud in thanks. Because of that, a bad decision did not become a disaster, and a company became a little more like the kind of thing you could be proud to work for. We've set up a fund for continuing education for staff and your families. We're increasing hourly pay and benefits. And we're creating a direct ethics channel to Celeste and Sophia for anyone who needs it. Anonymous if you choose." He nodded to Marisol. She didn't know what to do with her hands, so she put them in her pockets. Mrs. Davenport patted her shoulder once. Chef Elodie said, Enfin. After the meeting, Graham caught up with Marisol in the hallway. I owe you 2 apologies, he said. 1 for letting a rot set in near me and not smelling it. 2 for letting my son speak to you like your integrity was for sale. He's apologizing to you himself tonight, and if he doesn't, Sophia will handle him. Thank you, sir, Marisol said. And something else, he added. If you want it, head of household. Title, pay, the authority to refuse anything that doesn't meet your standard. Davenport will move up to director of operations. She's been doing the job for 10 years anyway. You'd work side by side. Marisol's chest tightened with something that felt like leaving shore. I'll say yes if I can bring someone with me, she said. 2 someones. My mother, Rosa, to join staff here 3 days a week so she doesn't have to run between buses. And my brother, Diego, who's good with his hands and wants to learn electrical. You bring 3 someones, Graham said. You've earned it. Lucas found her that evening by the herb garden, where the mint tried to escape its bed every spring. He stood with his hands in his pockets, and his pride loosened a notch. I was wrong, he said. I was also rude. I'm sorry. Thank you, Marisol said. Do better. I will, he said. He meant it the way people mean it when the floor has shifted under their shoes and they're grateful the house didn't fall. I thought protecting my father meant protecting the company. It turns out it means protecting his conscience. You did that better than I did. Marisol called her mother from the staff entrance that night. Rosa cried in a way that cleans the throat. Mija, she said, I always told you to be careful. I never told you to be small. I'm proud. A month later, the foundation announced the Clear Lines Initiative, a fund for whistleblowers in essential industries, rail, water, hospitals. So people could say the hard thing without losing the roof. Marisol stood in the back of the room, next to Kim, who joked that neither of them had planned on becoming poster girls for Please Do the Right Thing. I like the poster, Marisol said. Kim grinned. Me too. Life did not become a montage of triumphs. It became a sequence of things that added up, a pay stub with enough left over to breathe. Rosa's bus pass replaced by a staff badge. Diego standing on a ladder, rewiring a sconce and saying, Don't touch that, 2 seconds too late, and laughing when she yelped. Mrs. Davenport teaching Marisol how to read a florist's invoice like a mystery novel. Sophia asking Marisol, once, to disagree with her in a meeting and then thanking her for doing it. On a bright Saturday, the Whitmores opened the gardens for a community day. No velvetropes, no guest list, just lemonade, string lights in the trees, and a jazz trio that sounded like summer. Kids ran on the lawn because someone had finally said you could. Graham found Marisol by the hydrangeas. Do you ever think about how close we came to doing the wrong thing because it was easier? He asked. Every day, she said. Then I remember that saying no once makes the next no simpler. He looked out over the lawn, where Celeste was teaching a girl in a yellow dress how to blow on a dandelion so the seeds scatter just right. You changed the weather in this house, he said. I dusted a few corners, Marisol said, smiling. As the sun slid low, Lucas stepped up to the portable mic before the band plays the last song. He said, I asked to say something. Some of you work with my father. Some of you work in his home. Some of you work 2 jobs and make room for people like us to think we're self-made. A month ago, I asked someone here to sign a paper that would have made my life easier and my soul lighter for a minute and heavier forever after. She said no. Because she said no, we're all standing here with our heads up. Thank you, Marisol. People clapped. Not the kind of applause that breaks the air open. The kind that stitches it. After dark, the staff gathered by the kitchen door the way they always did when an event ended. Not for a speech, but for the last handful of cookies and the gossip that tastes better when the lights are down. Marisol leaned on the doorframe. Chef Elodie slid a tart into her palm. Mrs. Davenport tapped the menu with a pen and said, Next time, fewer speeches, more shade. Next time, Marisol said, and realized that for the first time since she'd wheeled a car through a stranger's front door, next time felt like a promise instead of a threat. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share. Epic Stories Spot posts new, uplifting stories every day.